The laptop was still smoking when she said it. Steam rose from the keyboard like the ghost of every late night I'd spent studying, every scholarship essay I'd perfected, every A+ that apparently meant nothing in this house. The boiling water had warped the screen into a funhouse mirror, and through it, I could see my mother's face, twisted with a satisfaction that made my stomach turn. "Smart girls die alone," she hissed, kettle still in her hand like a weapon she'd been waiting to use. My brother Marcus sat at the kitchen table, his report card. Straight C's with a generous B in PE, spread out like evidence of his mediocrity. But he was smiling. Of course he was smiling. In this house, being average with a Y chromosome made you royalty. "Your brother needs the spotlight, not you," Dad said from his recliner, not even bothering to look up from his phone. "We can't have you making him look bad at graduation." I stood there, watching my laptop die, for years of work dissolving into the wooden table. My thesis, my job applications, my entire future pooling in electronic death beneath my mother's manicured hands. "Nothing to say?" Mom taunted. "Finally learned your place?" I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just looked at them, really looked at them, and realized something that should have been obvious years ago. They weren't my family. They were obstacles. And I'd spent 22 years trying to earn love from people who saw my success as a threat to their favorite child's ego. "I need to get to the library," I said quietly, "to redo my assignments." Marcus laughed. "Good luck explaining why you need extensions. My mommy broke my computer. Isn't going to work in college, sis." Mom set the kettle down, satisfied. "Maybe this will teach you to dial it back. B's are perfectly fine for girls. Leave the A's for someone who needs them." I gathered the destroyed laptop, careful not to let them see my hands shake. Not from sadness. From something else. Something they'd regret awakening. That was 3 months ago. 3 months of them thinking they'd won. That they'd finally put me in my place. 3 months of me playing the perfect broken daughter, while I built something they never saw coming. See, what my family never understood about smart girls is that we don't just study textbooks. We study people. We notice patterns. We remember everything. Like how Mom had been embezzling from her job at the church for 5 years, small amounts she thought no one would notice. I had screenshots of every discrepancy, every forged signature, every dollar that went to her secret shopping sprees instead of the youth programs. Like how Dad had been having an affair with his secretary, meeting her every Tuesday at the Rosewood Motel, paying in cash he withdrew from the joint account. I had photos, receipts, even audio of him calling Marcus a disappointment to his mistress, saying he wished his son was more like his overachieving daughter. Like how Marcus had cheated his way through high school, buying papers online with Mom's credit card, threatening smaller kids to do his homework, even assaulting a freshman who refused. An incident Mom and Dad paid good money to make disappear. But the kid's sister remembered. And she was very willing to talk to me. I didn't act immediately. Smart girls know patience is power. First, I secured my future. I explained to my professors about a family emergency that destroyed my computer. They were understanding. More understanding than my family had ever been. I rewrote my thesis on library computers, made Dean's List again, and quietly accepted a full-ride scholarship to Stanford for my master's program. Across the country, where they'd never think to follow. Then I started documenting everything. Every insult. Every moment of favoritism. Every time they used my achievements as weapons against me. I recorded Mom telling me I was too ugly to be smart too. Pick a struggle. I saved the text where Dad said my graduation tickets should go to Marcus's friends instead of me walking. I screenshot Marcus's Instagram posts mocking my try-hard attitude while Mom liked every single one. But the real preparation was psychological. I started agreeing with them, playing smaller, dimmer, less threatening. When I got accepted to Stanford, I didn't tell them. When I won the departmental award for highest GPA, I hid the trophy. When job offers started rolling in, I deleted the emails before they could see them. Finally learning your place. Mom would say approvingly when I served Marcus dinner first or stayed quiet during his mediocre achievements. The culmination came at graduation. They almost didn't come, said it was just a bachelor's degree, nothing special. But the extended family was expecting them, so appearances won. I was valedictorian. They didn't know because I'd hidden the letters, the ceremony requests, the speech preparations. When my name was called to give the address, Mom's face went white. Dad dropped his phone. Marcus said, loud enough for the row to hear, "This has to be a mistake." I walked to the podium in the dress I'd bought myself, with the honors cords they never knew I'd earned, and looked out at the crowd. My family sat in the middle section, already shrinking under the weight of their miscalculation. "Good afternoon," I began, my voice clear and strong. "I want to talk about potential, not just achieving it, but what happens when the people who should nurture it try to destroy it instead." I spoke about resilience, about rising above, about how sometimes the family you're born into isn't the family you're meant to keep. I never mentioned them directly, but with each word about overcoming domestic sabotage, about succeeding despite active discouragement, about choosing your own worth over others' comfort, I watched them realize what I was doing. I was telling our story, publicly, permanently, in front of 500 witnesses. The speech went viral. The university posted it online with the title, "Student Overcomes Family Adversity to Achieve Highest Honors." News outlets picked it up. Suddenly, everyone wanted to know more about the girl whose family tried to dim her light. But I wasn't done. The day after graduation, while they were dealing with the fallout of being recognized at the grocery store, at church, at work as the family from that speech, I sent 3 emails. One to the church board with documented evidence of Mom's embezzlement. One to Dad's wife, yes, his actual wife, since his mistress didn't know he was married, with everything I'd gathered about his affair. One to Marcus's college admissions office with proof of his academic fraud. Then I left for California without a goodbye, taking only what I'd bought myself, leaving behind every gift that came with conditions, every piece of clothing meant to make me invisible, every reminder that I'd once begged for scraps of approval from people who feared my success. The aftermath was swift and brutal. Mom was arrested 2 weeks later. The church pressed charges, and suddenly everyone knew why the youth programs had been underfunded while she drove a new car. The headline in the local paper read, "Church treasurer stole from children's programs for personal gain." Dad's divorce was messy and public. Turns out his mistress was married too, and her husband was his boss. He lost his job, his marriage, and half of everything in the settlement. Mom couldn't help him. She was facing her own legal bills. Marcus's college acceptance was revoked. With no safety net, no one to buy his way through, and parents too broke and disgraced to help, he ended up exactly where his efforts warranted. Living at home, working at the same grocery store where people whispered about his family's downfall. I watched it all from Stanford, where I was thriving, where my professors praised my insight instead of punishing it, where my classmates celebrated my achievements instead of resenting them, where I finally understood what family was supposed to feel like, chosen, supportive, proud of each other's success. They tried to contact me, of course. Mom sent letters from jail about forgiveness, about family bonds, about how I'd destroyed them over one little incident. Dad left voicemails about how I'd ruined his life, how daughters were supposed to be loyal, how I owed them better. Marcus made fake social media accounts to message me, calling me every name he could think of, as if his limited vocabulary could somehow hurt me now. I never responded. Not because I was being cruel, but because I'd already said everything I needed to say. They'd told me smart girls die alone. They were wrong about the dying part, but right about one thing: I was alone now. Beautifully, peacefully, successfully alone. Free from people who saw my light as a threat to their darkness. The last time I heard about them was through a cousin who still talked to me. Mom was out on probation, working minimum wage, living in a studio apartment. Dad was driving for a rideshare company, his profile rating consistently low because he couldn't stop talking about his ungrateful daughter. Marcus still lived at home, wherever home was now, playing video games and blaming everyone else for his failures. "They ask about you," my cousin said carefully. "If you're okay, if you're happy, tell them yes," I said. "Tell them their smart girl is doing exactly what they said she would. Dying alone. Except I'm not dying, I'm living. And I'm not alone, I'm free." She paused. "They want to know if you'll ever forgive them." I thought about the laptop, the boiling water, the years of being told to shrink myself so Marcus could feel bigger. I thought about every test I aced while being told I should aim lower, every achievement that was met with punishment instead of pride, every moment they chose his comfort over my potential. "I already have," I said. "Forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. They're forgiven, but they're also forgotten. Smart girls might die alone, but we live on our own terms. And that's a death I can live with." The call ended, and I went back to my thesis, the one I was writing on my new laptop, bought with my own money, in my own apartment, building my own future. No one was going to pour boiling water on this one. No one was going to tell me to dim my light. No one was going to make me choose between success and family. Because I'd already chosen. And for the first time in my life, I'd chosen correctly. They said smart girls die alone. They were wrong. Smart girls live free. And after 22 years of trying to earn love that was conditional on my failure, freedom felt better than any approval they could have given me. The laptop keyboard clicked under my fingers as I typed, each keystroke a small rebellion, each word a victory they'd never see. Let them have their spotlight, the one they so desperately wanted to keep from me. I didn't need it anymore. I had something better. I had myself. And it turns out, that was all I ever really needed.